Venture with me into the sands of ancient Egypt as we unravel mysteries whispered by the very stones that have stood for millennia. Today we focus our gaze upon the Pyramid of Medum, a monument named for the land it inhabits, a structure that poses a unique challenge to those who seek to understand its story. Gazing upon the Pyramid of Medum is a disconcerting experience, akin to performing a forensic examination on an ancient ruin, trying to decipher where its construction went awry. Adding to its peculiar nature, the pyramid stands solitarily, unlike other Old Kingdom pyramids that cluster together in Giza, Saqqara, and Abu Sir. Its external appearance is profoundly marred, revealing a chaotic core with visible layers of construction in its upper reaches. Compounding its strange history, the Pyramid of Medum holds the distinction of being the sole finished pyramid never officially claimed by a pharaoh, or at least not in a manner that definitively confirms its origins. While some might argue that it remained unfinished, any remaining work would have represented a negligible task for its builders. The Pyramid of Medum, often overshadowed and underestimated, holds a wealth of knowledge about the architectural techniques and ambitions of its era. Even in its ruined state, it unveils intriguing mysteries that continue to puzzle Egyptologists. One immediate question arises: what led to the pyramid's dramatic collapse? The most plausible explanation points to extensive quarrying. Nestled intimately near fertile fields and bustling settlements lies the Pyramid of Medum. Unlike its counterparts, it presented itself as an easily accessible quarry, its stones pilfered far more aggressively than the missing outer casings of other, more distant pyramids. While some academics in the 20th century posited a catastrophic collapse, possibly even during its construction, the extensive quarrying suggests a more gradual disintegration. Piece by piece, the pyramid yielded to human hands and the relentless forces of nature. One architectural quirk might have also played a role in its structural woes. The Pyramid of Medum started its life as a stepped structure, only later transformed into a smooth-sided pyramid. The stepped pyramid, already adorned with its smooth casing stones, faced an unforeseen challenge. The final stage of construction couldn't properly bond to the existing structure. However, it's crucial to avoid the assumption that the pyramid was doomed from the start. Another proposed reason for its apparent failure suggests that expansion efforts placed the outer layer on a sandy foundation rather than solid pavement. The age-old adage about not building on sand is often cited as evidence of early pyramid builders' critical errors. Yet compacted sand is quite capable of withstanding substantial weight without giving way. It remains a mystery whether a sandy foundation poses structural challenges to the pyramid, as thorough testing has yet to be conducted. Interestingly, the pyramid's outer layers, resting directly on the sand, bear the least weight. To further explore this topic, we will delve into the insights of researcher Keith Hamilton's guide to the Medum Pyramid. His diagrams and ideas will shed light on understanding this enigmatic structure. With gratitude to the ACITA Project, whose remarkable photographs allow us to delve into the evidence firsthand. Our exploration of the Medum Pyramid commences with a tribute to Flinders Petrie, the esteemed archaeologist credited with unearthing the modest temple nestled on its eastern flank. This understated stone edifice holds the singular honor of being the most ancient building standing perfectly preserved today. The stark dichotomy between the temple's pristine state and the pyramid's weathered condition is striking, a testament to the temple's fortuitous burial beneath layers of protective debris, shielding it from the ravages of time and human avarice. The thrill of discovery, the sheer grit involved in unearthing the past. These are the stories that truly resonate. Consider the words of Petrie, writing in 1892, as he recounts the arduous excavation. At last we reached the bottom. The sloping casing of the pyramid emerged, along with a wall standing firm at a right angle. And there it was, the Great Stela. Our precarious venture had yielded success. The scene was fraught with peril. On either side, walls of unstable debris loomed. To the west, a towering mass of sand, chips, and colossal blocks ascended to a height rivaling a London house. This stratified heap, sloping precariously, threatened to cascade into their excavation from a dizzying 40 or 50 feet. With a gentle slope, approximately 1 in 4, the bank had held firm during peaceful weather. But then, a fierce gale erupted. I found myself in the pit that day, an experience forever etched in my memory due to the sheer chaos. The air, thick with swirling sand, forced one to keep their eyes closed more than open. And as the wind relentlessly scoured the sand from the bank's face, stones cascaded down in thunderous avalanches. Petrie's team toiled for 3 long weeks, painstakingly removing the debris left by the storm, finally reaching the depth they had previously achieved. After this monumental effort, undertaken at his own expense, Petrie made a truly remarkable decision, one that was far from typical for the era. As he noted in his writings, he meticulously measured every detail, photographed the site extensively, created detailed drawings, and copied all the inscriptions before carefully reburying the site, ensuring its preservation. He understood that leaving it exposed would have guaranteed its destruction within half a year. The Pyramid of Medum, a local quarry for generations, owes the preservation of its surrounding tombs to its sheer size. Despite Petrie's successful efforts in preserving the site, one might argue that Egyptology overlooks a significant opportunity here. The presence of 2 large uninscribed stelae presents a compelling mystery, leaving the question of the pyramid's original owner unanswered. This enigma invites further exploration and deeper understanding of Medum's historical significance. Unveiling the secrets veiled beneath the stone's surface may lie within the grasp of modern radiographic techniques, hinting at details lost to the casual observer. Once, vibrant pigments may have adorned these stelae, or perhaps faint sketches of intended inscriptions linger, awaiting discovery. A more meticulous examination beckons, though the relentless sun's embrace undoubtedly diminishes the chances of unearthing such delicate remnants. Delving into the pyramid's very essence requires us to revisit the pioneering archaeological endeavors of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Around 1912, Gerald Wainwright, a protege of Flinders Petrie, embarked on an expedition excavating a tunnel beneath the pyramid, seeking to decipher its intricate internal architecture. The mystery of the Medum pyramid began to unravel when it was revealed that its construction involved an intriguing layered approach. Smooth blocks, spaced at remarkably even intervals, radiated outwards from a central core, forming distinct levels. These layers were then carefully joined horizontally, creating what would become the top of each step of the stepped pyramid. In 1928, Egyptologist Ludwig Borchardt built upon these initial observations, proposing that the Medum pyramid was, in fact, the result of 3 separate construction phases. The first phase, dubbed E1, involved the creation of a stepped pyramid reaching 7 courses high. The subsequent phase, E2, saw a slight expansion of the structure, increasing its height to 8 courses. Having undergone a series of ambitious transformations, the pyramid at Medum reached its definitive form in phase E3, evolving from a stepped structure into a true angular pyramid. Its slopes now ascended at an angle of approximately 52 6/10 degrees, remarkably close, within a single degree, to the inclination of the Great Pyramid at Giza. In its completed state, the Medum pyramid stood at a towering height of about 94 meters. The initial phases of its construction, designated E1 and E2, reveal a striking similarity in technique. The second stage, E2, was likely erected soon after the completion of E1. Both phases adhered to the design principles established in the step pyramid of Djoser, employing blocks that leaned inward at a 75-degree angle, ensuring structural integrity. The final layer, known as E3 of the smooth pyramid, was constructed using flat, horizontal courses of larger, finer limestone blocks. The presence of 3 distinct building phases raises significant questions about the design and implementation of the ramp system used in its construction. The idea of an external spiral ramp seems implausible due to the immense labor required. It would have been necessary to entirely dismantle and rebuild the ramp with each expansion of the Medum pyramid. Intriguingly, Flinders Petrie discovered remnants of what appears to be a straight, original construction ramp on the pyramid's eastern face during his excavation. This ramp aligns perfectly with 2 notable indentations visible on the pyramid's exposed core. Peeking beneath the surface, the smooth segments of the exposed core whisper tales of an ancient step pyramid. These sleek remnants once formed the outer layers of previous iterations. The upper smooth faces belong to the pyramid's 5th stage, while the lowest smooth surface hails from the earlier, smaller fourth-stepped pyramid. The rough bands mark the joining points where the pyramid's steps were fused to the inner accretion layer. Interestingly, the rounded cavities were created much later. Their purpose is not structural, but rather to provide a haven for bats and birds, creatures whose droppings are collected for use as fertilizer on the surrounding farmland. Peering closely, one can discern the sloping path once trod by farmers, ascending to the pyramid's alcoves. At first glance, the Medum pyramid presents a wealth of visual information, yet familiarity unveils its key features, rendering it less daunting. The extensive quarrying and subsequent destruction of the upper two-thirds of the structure have resulted in a vast accumulation of limestone fragments, now shrouding the remnants of the original, angular E3 pyramid at its base. The E3 casing stones, bearing the marks of considerable weathering in numerous locations, hint at a prolonged period of exposure to the elements, untouched by burial. Contemporary Egyptological understanding suggests that the E3 construction phase of the Medum pyramid followed Pharaoh Seneferu's completion of the Bent Pyramid and the Red Pyramid in Dashur. The impeccable precision and flat arrangement of the pyramid's outer stones offer a compelling testament to its origins. Identical stonemason markings, echoing those discovered on the Dashur pyramids, provide further clues about its construction during a specific ruler's reign. While some initially questioned whether Pharaoh Sneferu truly oversaw the creation of the initial step pyramids, E1 and E2, no archaeological evidence has emerged to link any other pharaoh to the site. The sequence of construction itself is puzzling, raising questions about why a pharaoh would build two-step pyramids, embark on two larger angular pyramids, and then revisit an earlier step pyramid to transform it into another angular structure. The standard explanation of a pharaoh continuously striving to refine a tomb design does not fully account for the E3 building phase at Medum. High on the north face of the pyramid, 18 meters above the desert floor, lies the entrance. This placement echoes the grand design of the Great Pyramid, whose opening is just 1 meter lower. Initially, the stepped pyramid, known as E1, possessed an entrance a mere 12 meters above ground, a height akin to the lower opening of the Bent Pyramid. Preserved casing stones still embrace the pyramid's mouth, offering invaluable insight into the original architectural vision. Intriguingly, some Egyptologists interpret the arrangement of these stones as deliberate camouflage, suggesting a hidden entrance veiled in stone. Often, the idea of camouflaged entrances to Old Kingdom pyramids comes up, but I've always doubted that their purpose was secrecy. While one might see the Medum pyramid's entrance as an attempt at concealment, aesthetic choices could just as easily explain its design. Consider that the entrance stands 3 courses of masonry high, the middle one designed to hold a wider block than the others. Moreover, there's a floor joint right in the center of the entrance. These details might make a plugged entrance harder to notice, but they could also simply maintain the staggered casing stone aesthetic found throughout the rest of the pyramid. Centered on the north face, the entrance declared itself with a grand, structurally superfluous lintel, hardly the mark of a hidden doorway. The lintel, seemingly cleaved by a joint, likely bears only a stress fracture. An original feature of the design may have allowed for a stronger argument for camouflage. Stepping into the descending corridor, one immediately notices its unusual height, towering above those of other Old Kingdom pyramid passages. At just over 1.5 meters, most can traverse this passage with relative ease. Unlike some pyramids, where narrow passages force visitors to awkwardly crouch, the descending corridor at the Medum pyramid offers a more comfortable experience. While it's true that this corridor is narrower than those in later pyramids, measuring approximately 85 centimeters in width, it's still surprisingly accessible. This is because subsequent pyramid passages are only 20 centimeters wider. This thoughtful design ensures that navigating the Medum pyramid's chambers feels natural and human-sized. After descending less than 10 meters, the exterior casing of the E3 pyramid gives way, and one arrives at the entrance of the E2 step pyramid. Just beyond the entrance, 2 pairs of D-shaped openings punctuate the walls, mirrored by empty space above. This architectural echo resonates with the Bent Pyramid, specifically its entrances and the widened corridors within. The shared design strongly suggests these ceiling gaps were intended for sliding doors. Interestingly, the gap at Medum outstretches that of the Bent Pyramid. Yet both gaps share a striking correlation to their respective corridor heights, measured at approximately 76%, confirming a clear design connection between these two ancient structures. The stepped pyramids, E1 and E2, share a fascinating design element. The masonry on the passage faces consists of 3 courses. Intrigued by this pattern, I wonder if the middle course of masonry at the E2 pyramid's entrance was originally offset, mirroring the current design of the E3 pyramid entrance. If so, the blocks would have served as thin fillers, smoothing the passage walls. A closer inspection of the eastern block, which has partially broken away, could confirm this intriguing possibility. Even with decent photographs, discerning whether the missing section was part of the block behind it or a distinct filler piece remains elusive. Considering the prevalence of imprecise restoration work on these pyramids, one must exercise caution when assessing unusual stonework. If the central masonry course consistently aligned vertically with the courses above and below at the eastern 2 entrance, we can reasonably infer that this entrance was never meant to be concealed. This suggests that the eastern 3 entrance design prioritized aesthetics over secrecy. Beneath the eastern 2 casing stones, the masonry's quality diminishes and exhibits significant deterioration. Nestled near fertile fields, the Pyramid of Medum faces a challenge unseen by its counterparts: a higher water table. This proximity to moisture and salt has taken its toll, causing the limestone to flake and peel away from every surface below a certain point. The damage is particularly severe near the inner E1 pyramid entrance, obscuring its secrets and making detailed inspection a treacherous task. The descending corridor plunges approximately 8 meters beneath the surface. Just before the corridor reaches its end, a striking feature emerges: a vertical shaft, 3 meters in depth, cutting through the bedrock. Adding to the intrigue, a 14-centimeter groove runs along the walls, floor, and ceiling, a mysterious marking that hints at the pyramid's enigmatic past. Keith Hamilton, a keen researcher, believes the vertical shaft once served as a soak pit, skillfully channeling runoff. He also envisions the groove as a former home for a sturdy wooden doorway. These compelling ideas paint a picture of a passage left open for a significant duration, perhaps during its creation or even in the time that followed. Descending through the passage, one immediately encounters a modest chamber, spanning 2.5 meters in length and extending just over 2 meters towards the east. An almost mirror-image room lies adjacent, this time oriented to the west. The limestone walls, unfortunately weathered and worn, lend the space a rather underwhelming atmosphere, a stark contrast to the potential mysteries it holds. For 4,500 years, the seemingly unremarkable chambers within the Medum Pyramid held a secret, a crucial detail missed by every explorer until the dawn of the 21st century. At first glance, the rooms appear simple, flat ceilings spanned by single beams. Yet despite the age and flaking, these beams exhibit no signs of stress fractures. Architect-researcher Gilles Dormian was the first to grasp the significance of this observation. He swiftly concluded that the ceilings as they were could never bear the immense weight of the pyramid above. Around the year 2000, Dormian and Jean-Yves Verdurt unveiled their revolutionary theory. The Medum Pyramid houses core-belled weight-relieving chambers above these very rooms, as well as the lower section of the descending corridor, ingeniously designed to alleviate the crushing pressure. Following meticulous investigation, researchers confirmed their hypothesis by drilling discrete boreholes. Inserting endoscopic cameras, they peered into the hidden core-belled spaces, visually validating their existence. The remarkable condition of these sealed areas offered compelling evidence that the chambers within the Medum Pyramid were originally meticulously finished. This pristine state challenges the assertions of some Egyptologists who, observing the current state of disrepair, suggest the pyramid was never completed. It's more plausible that the damage occurred much later in its history. Extending southward from the twin chambers, a short passage leads to an extraordinary vertical shaft. Its rough, unrefined condition makes precise measurement a challenge. But the shaft appears to be roughly 1 square meter in area, slightly smaller than the descending corridor. Standing at over 6 meters tall, the ancient shaft hints at a time when it was adorned with delicate limestone tiles. As you gaze upwards, a little past the halfway point, 3 time-worn wooden logs are embedded firmly into the very bedrock of the walls. The two lower logs, seemingly bearing the weight of time, are reinforced from beneath by sturdy vertical blocks of carefully placed masonry. Turning your attention to the northern wall, two striking semicircular grooves can still be discerned. These vertical indentations reach upwards, culminating at a point where a small opening once lay hidden, concealing the passage to a relieving space above the short corridor below. A secret entrance lost to the ages. Ascending to the highest point of the northern wall's corbelled passage, one discovers supplementary wooden beams, now fused with the ancient stones. Let's conclude our exploration of the pyramid and then delve deeper into the significance of these features. The vertical shaft leads to a chamber crowned with a corbelled ceiling, reaching a height of approximately 5 meters, stretching 6 meters in length and spanning 2.5 meters in width. History remains silent on any remarkable discoveries within this hidden space. The corbelled walls bear the marks of wooden beams, with the majority positioned above the vertical shaft. Whispers linger within the ancient stones of the Medum pyramid, tales etched in cedar and limestone. Traces of original cedar logs still endure, remnants of a time long past. A small excavation once probed the southern flank of the chamber, halted only by the unyielding bedrock that lay behind the limestone wall. The pyramid's inner labyrinth beckons with unanswered questions. A striking similarity exists between the chamber design of Medum and the Red Pyramid. Both feature a sequence of two lower chambers, leading to a grander chamber soaring above. It's believed that the elevated chamber in the Red Pyramid was intentionally designed to be out of reach. Yet the 8.5 meters of smooth wall in the Red Pyramid presents a greater challenge than the 6.5 meter vertical shaft of the Medum Pyramid. This difference implies that, unlike its counterpart, the Medum Pyramid's upper chamber could potentially be scaled without the need for ladders or specialized tools. Imagine a time long ago when ancient builders faced the challenge of securing massive stone plugs within towering pyramids. Researcher Keith Hamilton believed he had deciphered their ingenious method, focusing on the vertical shaft within the Medum Pyramid. Hamilton proposed that this shaft once housed a hefty plugging stone, held aloft by 3 sturdy wooden beams from below. The key, he suggested, lay in the grooves etched into the northern wall. These weren't mere decorations, they served a crucial purpose. These grooves, reminiscent of those found in the Great Pyramid's portcullis chamber, allowed ropes to pass through, ensuring they wouldn't interfere with the plugging stone as it was carefully hoisted into position. Once the vertical plug of the Medum Pyramid reached its designated height, the wooden logs could be strategically inserted into the walls beneath, acting as a robust support system to keep the stone suspended within the shaft. Further bolstering this system, the wooden logs received additional support from the masonry carefully constructed below, guaranteeing the plug's stability for eternity. Imagine a time long ago when secrets were buried deep within the heart of the Medum Pyramid. Picture a clever defense, a small wooden structure perched above a plugging stone, its purpose to guard against intrusion. This humble structure, once extending above the shaft, served to prevent the plugging stone from being forced upwards into the chamber. A simple wooden beam, strategically placed above, allowed the shaft to remain clear until the moment of closure. When the time came, the wood was cemented into the masonry, sealing the passage with ingenious precision. This defense, a testament to ancient ingenuity, was not easily overcome. The grooves etched into the northern wall offer compelling evidence, suggesting the need for clearance of a plugging stone and the corridors of the Medum Pyramid itself being too narrow for a stone sarcophagus to have passed through. Despite the progress made, certain mysteries linger around the construction, demanding further investigation. The wooden scaffold, designed to hold a plugging stone, intrudes only slightly into the shaft, with just the western log bearing the mark of damage, a missing edge. Adding to the puzzle, the corridor leading to the shaft is 82 centimeters wide, significantly narrower than the shaft itself, which measures approximately 1 meter. This discrepancy implies that the plugging stone would have been unable to pass through the passage from the lower chambers and would have had to sit and wait at the bottom of the shaft. To complicate matters further, the bottom of the shaft is misaligned with the top by roughly 30 centimeters. The mystery of how the vertical shaft was sealed remains unsolved, but it's plausible to see it as a deliberate obstacle, guarding entry to the upper chamber. Shifting our gaze from this enigma, let's now delve into the long-neglected lower two chambers. When we simplify the architectural plans of the three pyramids attributed to Snefru, a striking pattern emerges. Each pyramid features lower chambers accessible via a descending corridor, contrasted by upper chambers deliberately rendered inaccessible through blockages and elevated entry points. It seems logical that the lower chambers were designed to welcome visitors, as why else invest so much effort only to restrict access to the upper chamber system? To truly understand the pyramids, one must delve beyond the conventional wisdom. Why, for instance, did the ancient architects expend such effort on the lower chambers within the Medum pyramid? If their sole objective was impenetrable security, they could have simply sealed the descending corridors, as was the custom with mastabas both before and after the Pyramid Age. The presence of these chambers, complete with their corbelled relieving spaces, as discovered by Gilles Dormian, begs the question, why go to the trouble of incorporating flat ceilings rather than leaving the corbelling exposed as it is in the upper chamber? It's a crucial point, hinting at a purpose far more nuanced than mere protection. It calls for a closer inspection of those forgotten spaces within the ancient structures. Egyptologists generally agree. The innermost chambers of pyramids from the 4th dynasty served as burial places. Logically, these inner sanctums should have showcased the highest level of craftsmanship. However, the upper chamber of the Medum pyramid presents a puzzling anomaly. Its corbelled vaulting is noticeably asymmetrical and somewhat crude. The standard explanation suggests that during the construction of the Red Pyramid by Snefru, builders had simply become more skilled, enabling them to create tall, flawlessly symmetrical corbels. Yet a simple increase in skill seems insufficient to account for the stark contrast between the Medum and Red Pyramid corbels. In the ancient sands of Medum, where the first pyramids dared to pierce the sky, lies a secret whispered by the stones themselves. Within the Medum pyramid's chamber, the corbelling, perhaps, seems somewhat crude, almost carelessly arranged. But what if this wasn't a flaw, but a deliberate choice? The lower chambers, with their flat ceilings, were intended to be the truly impressive spaces. Imagine constructing chambers beneath a mountain of stone, a feat never before attempted. We, in our modern era, take for granted the ability of architecture to bear such immense weight. Perhaps that's why the subtle nuances of the Medum pyramid were overlooked. What if the rough corbelling served a purpose beyond aesthetics? It hints at the daring innovation and the hidden beauty in the earliest monumental architecture. The builders pushed the boundaries of engineering, prioritizing stability over pristine aesthetics. For the ancient Egyptians, the idea of a perfectly flat ceiling directly beneath a pyramid held a certain magic. To enhance this sense of wonder for visitors, the corbelling, the technique used to create these ceilings, was often cleverly concealed. One can find this very illusion mirrored in the chambers of other renowned pyramids. While the Red Pyramid boasts significantly larger chambers compared to those of the Medum Pyramid, the sheer scale may have made it impractical to source beams large enough for truly flat ceilings. Therefore, the Red Pyramid's visible corbelling was meticulously designed to be high and symmetrical, creating a different kind of visual grandeur, one that was equally impressive in its own right. Snefru, a pharaoh renowned as history's most prolific pyramid builder, left behind architectural marvels that continue to captivate us. Curiously, though the inner chambers of his pyramids boast grand proportions, they don't always steal the show visually. Take the pyramid at Medum, for example. Was it merely a practice run for Snefru, or did it hold a deeper significance? Perhaps that explains why he invested in its final stage, enhancing its construction to an exceptional level. The transformation of the Medum pyramid from a step structure to a true pyramid remains an enigma, posing a significant challenge to Egyptologists seeking to understand Snefru's grand vision. Perhaps by looking beyond the pyramid's current state of ruin, we can unlock the secrets that made it so important to Snefru, revealing a fresh perspective on his ambitious pyramid-building endeavors. Dive into a world where the past whispers secrets waiting to be uncovered. Join us as we journey through forgotten tales and unveil the human stories woven into the fabric of time. Every discovery is a new door opening to understanding who we are and where we come from.